activate.
This video opens with a picture that says, "Welcome to my channel," spelled out in blue and red yarn on a white sheet. I know some of you are thinking, yeah, lady, I see that. Well, did you know that there are 7.6 million people in America who are considered legally blind? And the World Health Organization estimates that there are 16 million people globally who are considered legally blind. And yes, we're here on the internet among you. I know you can't see our white canes and our guide dogs, so we're not quite as obvious as in person. I know, because I happen to be one of them. And I have heard great shock from people when I comment sometimes on social media. They're like, you can't be visually impaired, you can't be blind, you can't be legally blind. How are you using the internet? Well, that's a topic for another video, because that's a whole nother topic, how we use the internet. But I am just here to tell you that we use the internet. And the welcome screen is spelled out in yarn because I happen to love yarn. I love to knit and crochet. I try to knit and crochet every day. It brings me peace, it brings me joy, it brings me hours of happiness and creativity. And I also know some people assume that, oh well, you must have learned how to knit and crochet before you lost your eyesight. No, I did not. Because another question I get asked often is, were you born that way? And of course, inside my head, I want to say 5'4" and 128 pounds. No, my mom would not have been happy about that. I would have been some kind of medical miracle. But I know that's not really what they mean, of course. They want to say, were you born that way? As in, were you born legally blind? Were you born visually impaired? Were you born with that white cane? No, I wasn't born with that white cane. And I certainly wasn't born with a guide dog at my side. I don't presently have a guide dog, but I have had 3, so now I use a white cane. But I do love to knit and crochet. And there are times in my life when I have had more eyesight, but I've always been legally blind. I was born with a condition called optic nerve hypoplasia. It just means underdevelopment of the optic nerve. I'm going to give you just a brief summary of that. It just means that my optic nerve is underdeveloped. I don't have any daylight vision. I am blinded by the light, by sunlight. I have real primitive night vision system. I see no color. I have no depth perception. So that means that I'm also very light sensitive and I can't keep my eyes open for very long. If you want the really in-depth detailed description of my vision and how it changes all the time, watch my first video. It's called Introduction. This is my second YouTube video. By the way, still trying to figure this thing out. So I have been knitting for about 15 years. And at some point, I will make a video discussing specifically how I got into knitting. But the topic of this video is how my deteriorating eyesight actually led me to designing. Yes, I was born this way. I was born severely visually impaired, legally blind. I had an eye surgery at, I think, 13 or 14 months old. They're called eye muscle repair surgeries because I have this condition called nystagmus, which means my eyes bobble around in my head and I can't control them, and strabismus, which means I'm cross-eyed, so I can't focus my eyes and I can't see to direct them and focus them and make them work together. So I had 3 eye surgeries, my first one at about 13 or 14 months, and I don't remember it, but my mom has told me that before that surgery, I could not walk independently. I could walk, I had the leg strength, I could walk holding on to someone's hand, I could walk holding on to the furniture like many children of that age, but I couldn't let go of furniture and maintain my balance. And although I don't remember it, she says post-surgery that as soon as they took off my eye patches, I was able to be with one person and then hear a voice of somebody that I knew across the room, and for the first time I could walk independently. I could let go of people and furniture. So I'm guessing that whatever they did with my eye surgery gave me enough of an ability to focus a little bit so that the world wasn't moving all over the place. Because part of walking isn't just muscle strength, it's also about your ability to coordinate, and most people do that by focusing on the world around them. It gives them a sense of stability. And when you don't have sort of your equilibrium and the world is wobbly all the time because your eyes are moving around all the time, it's much harder to walk. If you've ever experienced vertigo or dizziness from dehydration, illness, maybe intoxication, all kinds of circumstances that might make you have difficulties with severe inner ear infections, then you probably know balance and stability is part of walking, and it can become challenging. So I don't remember it, but apparently the first eye surgery that I had made it possible for me to walk independently. I had a second eye surgery about a year later. I have vague memories of that one, just a few on my left eye. And then when I was 8, they redid the right eye. They were hoping that they could somehow help me some more, give me more eyesight, help me to focus, help me to read better. At the time I could read large print and even kind of smaller print. I do remember that surgery well. I was 8, and I didn't notice any improvements in my eyesight whatsoever. And my vision has continued to deteriorate into my teenage years, is when I first really started noticing it. And it's continued to deteriorate. We don't know if I'll lose all my eyesight or not. I don't spend a lot of time worrying about it because I've been to eye doctors before, and I don't have glaucoma, I don't have a new condition, and they don't have answers, and they say it could be some optic nerve atrophy, but they don't really have an explanation for it, and they just kind of don't know, and that's really the answer. So my eyesight has deteriorated. I still do use a variety of ways in which I access print material. That's also a topic for another video, how I access patterns and print material. But I do still try to use some sight. I magnify and I zoom, and I try to enlarge things up to like 30 times with the zoom and magnification. But that gets very challenging with my optic nerve issues and my inability to focus and things. And so some days I can't use my sight at all because there's too much light. It's giving me headaches because I can't focus my eyes that day because of the nystagmus, whatever. So my visual condition really fluctuates a lot based upon the light and the environment and how tired I am and what substances I've had, all kinds of things. So some days I can't really even open my eyes and read print, no matter how big I make it, or even if I like change the contrast, which I do. On my phone screen, I make it white on black, which works best for me because that minimizes the background light, because I need to minimize the light in my environment. And yes, it's fairly dark in here, and that's why I need to have it darker so that I can actually open my eyes and look at you all. I could make these videos in the daytime, but then I wouldn't really be able to open my eyes, and the eyes would either be squinted shut or I'd have to wear sunglasses. And I do know that you sighted people like to look at people's eyes, and you can, I know some people think it's uncomfortable when they can't see my eyes. So I'm making these videos at night when it's darker so I can open my eyes a little bit for you all sighted folks, because I know you like that. So I've been knitting for about 15 years now, but a few years ago, within, I would say, the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, I've really had a lot more difficulties, for sure within the last 9 years, reading print material, no matter how big I make it, no matter what I do. And that, of course, made reading and accessing knitting patterns, which I love to do, it's my hobby, more challenging. And so that was kind of distressing. Just having, visual issues and visual deterioration can be really distressing. And so, but what do I do? One of the things that I do to sort of calm me and put me in my place of peace, my zen, is knitting. It's very meditative for me. It's very calming. It keeps me still. It keeps me focused. And so what did I need more than ever when I was like, oh my gosh, my eyes, I can't read today. It's huge. I've got it zoomed in, huge. And I just can't see it no matter what. So I just was like, just pick up your needles and your yarn and start knitting, because that, at least, is that repetitive motion that I know that is calming, that is soothing, that will put my mind in a really good place, even when I'm struggling inside of my head with the, I can't read. Am I going to be able to read tomorrow? Am I going to be able to read tonight when the sun goes down and I can control the light? Is this permanent? Is it not? That's kind of a distressing thing at moments to go through, not knowing, and that uncertainty. So I knew what I needed more than ever was to do what calms me, to do what brings me peace, to do what brings me joy. And I know the motions of knitting. I really pretty much knit and crochet by feel. There are occasionally things that I still do that I'm like, I think I need to see it, so then I have to hold it right up to my face. And it really, to do some things, that's good, but you really wouldn't want to knit and crochet with your needles right up next to your eye, because it could lead to an accident or an injury, and I could lose what little sight I have left. So I do that sometimes to look at things, but for the most part, I just knit and crochet by feel. I know the motions. So I just thought, just knit. You don't have to be knitting anything right now. Just knit, because that's calming to me. That's soothing to me, and I need that right now. And as I sat there knitting, it occurred to me, well, you know how to knit, and you know how to do this, and you've got all kinds of patterns and designs and ideas in your head, so why not actually make something? You don't actually have to read a pattern to knit. And it was this great moment when I thought, of course not. I don't have to read anybody else's pattern. I can just start making it up in my head, what I want. And in that moment of being faced with, I can't see right now, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to read tonight or tomorrow, or if this is forever or for how long, I became suddenly really free and liberated with my knitting, because I realized that I don't have to ever read somebody else's pattern. I can just start making up my own. Now, I'm sure if you've been knitting and crocheting for a while, you probably modify patterns. I think we all do that a little bit. We're like, I want the sleeves a little shorter. I want the sweater to cover my bum. I don't want it to look like that. I don't want the taper. And so we do change, like, we modify patterns a little bit here and there. We make each piece kind of our own. We don't, I mean, some people, I'm sure, just follow. I think when you first learn how to knit, you're just following instructions, or crochet. You're just like, okay, round 1, round 2, round 3, and you're just following instructions. And you're very happy when your project's done, and you're proud, and you should be. And I know that there are many people who will spend their whole lives, 40, 50, 60 years, doing nothing but knitting other people's patterns. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to say that right now. There's nothing at all wrong with that. If you never design your own work, there's nothing wrong with that. But if for some reason you're faced with becoming one of us 16 million people on the globe who's legally blind, and you suddenly are starting to have problems reading print, and you knit and crochet, don't think that you have to just give it up and say, well, I can't do this anymore because I can't see. I hear that from people. Well, I'm losing my sight. I can't see my stitches. I can't read my patterns. I can't do it anymore. That's not true at all. You just need to know and do what you know. Do the motion. Do what's comfortable. And you can still knit. You just start designing in your head. That was the most amazing, sort of liberating in that moment of distress concept, was that I can just start picturing what I want. I can make up my own designs, my own creations in my head. And now my mind is overwhelmed with my own designs. Today I just want to share with you a few of my own pieces that I've made. I'm going to do my best that I can to describe them for other people who are blind or visually impaired, because that's what this channel is about. It's about loving yarn. It's about loving to knit and crochet. It's about visual impairments. Whether you're born visually impaired and you're looking for a hobby, I say start knitting and crocheting. Why? Because it's tactile. It's not painting, it's not drawing, it is completely tactile. You do it with your hands. It's amazing. You don't have to think, oh, I can't see what's on the paper. You don't have to see to knit and crochet. You are doing it, building it, creating it with your hands. You feel every single stitch. You feel your hook. You feel your needle, whatever, whether you're knitting or crocheting. So if you're blind and you don't knit and crochet, I want to say, why not? Why not? Or if you've been sighted your whole life and you knit and crochet, but you're losing your eyesight, I want to say, don't give it up. So these are a few of my own designs. This is a blue cardie. It is knit with two different yarns. The body is knit in sort of a blue, a sea bluish green, and it's a Buchael yarn. It is sadly a discontinued yarn. It is lime brown colorways, bulky. For whatever reason, they did two different colorways. This is my favorite. I'm very sad. All my favorite yarns get discontinued. I think it's because I like the kind of textured and fun and really different yarns. So I'm very, very, very sad that they discontinued this yarn. But it's a blue-green on the body, and it's a Buchael. It's nice and soft and fuzzy. And then also, because it's a discontinued yarn, I think I only had about 4 skeins of it, 3 or 4. I can't even remember. And I thought, well, shoot, is that enough to make a cardie for me? And it was not. And I thought, what am I going to do? And that's when, of course, I thought, well, of course, you're going to innovate and improvise, because that's what you do when you have a disability. You just adapt. That's what we do. So I thought you can just use a different yarn for the sleeves. But I am colorblind, remember that. So that meant me taking this blue-green Buchael fuzzy fur yarn and pairing it up with different yarns that I had in my house that are the same weight. If you knit, you kind of, or crochet, you kind of know that you need to match your yarn weights. So I started taking pictures of this blue Buchael yarn, the fuzzy yarn, with pictures of other bulky yarns that I had in the house, and then texting the pictures to my sister in New York and asking her which of these yarns match this other yarn best, which one can I pair it up with. And she got back with me and said this, a nice medium blue, is your best match. So for people who can't see it, the sleeves of this cardie are knit in a different yarn, and I also put in like a little ribbing for the waistband. So right at the waist there is a knit 2 purl 2 ribbing for, I don't remember, maybe 16 rows, I don't remember. And then I went back to my Buchael yarn because I still had another skein, and I went and flared it out and gave it some nice flare at the bottom for probably, I don't know, maybe another 6 inches or so. So that was one of my first designs where not only was I designing, but I was designing with a discontinued yarn, and I had a real limited supply. So not only was I innovating with my design, but I was innovating with my yarn. One of my other favorite designs is this other blue. You can tell it is the same blue from the sleeves. I had some of it left, and I was like, well, what am I going to do with that? Make another cardie, of course. So this is a button-up blue cardie. It has cables on the left and the right, and I made it, it's raglan, so it's top down. You try it on as you go, and I did a provisional cast on, which is what I like to do, at the top, at the neckline, because I was debating on whether I wanted to give it a collar or a hood. That's also part of the fun of designing. You get to choose. You get to say, do I want no collar? Do I just want a regular collar? Do I want a shawl collar? Do I want a hoodie? So that's the beauty in designing. You make it yours. So I did the body, I did the sleeves, and then I think I went to Facebook and asked my friends, what do you think? Collar, hood, and I wanted a hoodie, I decided, which is my first hood to design. I took no notes on it, unfortunately, and it's a little more pointed than I wanted. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit of a pointy cone head, but you learn, right? Then I was wearing it, walking around the house, feeling good about my new cardi. And I thought, wait, something's missing. So I took it off because I realized what it needed to make it complete was pockets. That's also the beauty. And once you free yourself from sort of that rigid idea of, I have to work with somebody else's pattern. This pattern doesn't have pockets. You can't put pockets on it. No, of course you can. You can put pockets on it. If you like pockets, get your pockets on. So that's what I did. I took the cardi off and thought, okay, this thing needs pockets. So then I just started experimenting with my yarn, figuring out how wide I needed them, how many stitches I needed them. Did I want ribbing on top, or did I just want to like sew a button on there, make a little flap on top? I did not. I just made little squares and then put some ribbing on the top. So that is another one of my designs. I have designed so many fun things. This is one of my favorites. This is a black faux fur swing coat. Look at that baby. That is luscious and soft. Oh my god. I love this yarn. This is Knit Picks. I think they call it fairy tale fur right now. They've changed the name a few times, but I believe it's either called fable fur maybe or fairy tale fur. I don't know, but this is in the color, it's black. I think they call the color Corvette on the website. But I just started feeling this yarn. This is what I love to do now as a designer. I have a mountain of yarn. Like most people who knit and crochet, they're like, oh, I got a little yarn stash. I'm like, no, I got yarn mountain. It is so big, I literally have to climb on a stool like you're climbing a mountain to get the boxes down. Hence why it's called Yarn Mountain. And so I like to get into Yarn Mountain and pull down boxes and start digging around in them and touching and feeling all of my luscious soft yarn, and then thinking about, what does this want to be? What will this be? What does this yarn want to become? It's not anymore like when you first start to knit and crochet, you look at a pattern and it says yarn, knit picks, fable fur, or it says like this blue cardi, not the Bouchael one. This one with the hood is made from Webb's Valley Yarn, Haydenville Bulky. That's what this is. So, so when you first start to knit and crochet, you go through your pattern and it says yarn, and then it will say Valley Yarns, Haydenville Bulky, and it will tell you for different sizes how many skeins you need. And so that's what you do then. You go and you get on the internet, or you go to the store and you buy the yarn that it says you need for your size. And that's how you do it when you start knitting and crocheting. Well, when you start designing, you get to just start touching the yarn and letting it speak to you. You let it tell you what it wants to be. That's amazing. I love that. That is so fun. I love to just pick up my yarn and squish it and feel it and be like, what do you want to be? What do I picture this? What does this feel like? And so you can just, this is a scarf this is crochet. This is a shell and trellis scarf. It is Knit Picks Chroma worsted. This is a ombre yarn. It is, I believe it's superwash merino wool and nylon. The color is called Dragon Lily. Unfortunately, it is a discontinued color. knit picks. Why would you? This is a beautiful yarn. And I can't lie, I did forget what color it was. I sometimes do that, and I did have to text pictures to my sister and say, color consult. And she says it's got some black and some purple and maybe just kind of a reddish pink in there. But that is what, with this ombre and how soft it is, I just thought, I can see shades, by the way, if you're wondering. I cannot see color at all, but I can tell with this ombre that it is different shades. I can see that there's very dark down here, that there's lighter, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, and then it gets darker and darker and darker. So I can see that. I can see that there's a fade and there's some shading going on, but no color. So that's really, I think, what I wanted to say to people. This entire pile is all my own work that I designed. This is what happens when you are faced, when I was faced with deteriorating eyesight, when I was faced with vision loss and the uncertainty of, okay, today I can't read a pattern. I cannot open my eyes. The sun is too bright. No matter how big I get it, I can't see. It could have been really easy for me to say, well, I'm done knitting. Well, that was silly to me because I already knew how to knit, and so it wasn't that I couldn't see my stitches. That wasn't the issue. It was, oh my God, I cannot read no matter how big the print is, no matter what's going on in my environment. I can no longer read this. Now, I do use patterns on the internet. That's a whole other topic. Like I said, that's another video that I'll make about accessing print material, accessing patterns, and how we can do that. But I, rather than say, well, I'm done knitting because I can't read print anymore and I'm struggling to read today and maybe tomorrow my eyes will be better, I was just like, no, I'm just gonna do what calms me. And so instead then I decided, no, you're gonna design. You're just gonna make it up in your head and you're gonna design. And this whole pile of skirts and dresses and tops are my own work. This is what happened to me when I said, oh my God, today I can't see to read anymore. I just started designing. Look at this dress. Look at this dress. This dress is black. It is cotton and nylon. It is Knit Picks Snuggle Puff. Really, Knit Picks? Another discontinued yarn? Really? I have knit beautiful dresses and tops and baby blankets with this yarn. I love this yarn. Another yarn that I am personally so sad to see discontinued. So let me describe this dress for people who are blind and visually impaired, for the 16 million legally blind people around the globe who I hope tune in. This is a dress. It is short sleeved. This is called a circular yoke, where you just work in one piece. The neckline is round, and I use lace, what's called feather and fan stitch. So it's got lace, feather, and fan around the entire neck and all the way out to the short sleeves. And then I knit the body of the dress, and I of course did some shaping. Then at the hem area of the dress, there's probably about another 6, 7, 8 inches maybe of the seam, feather, and fan lace. It's all flared out. So that these are just examples of my own designs, of what happened to me when I couldn't read the print anymore. It was like the most liberating thing that could have happened to me. What could have been devastating, what could have been depressing, what could have been I can't do this anymore moment, became awakened something inside of me to design and create. And now today, my mind is just bombarded with designs and ideas. Like, I have more designs in my head than I could ever knit and crochet in a lifetime, I think. Like, now my fantasy is to become an octopus. Like, I want 8 arms so I could like work and knit 2 projects at a time and crochet 2 projects at a time. Like, I want to be working on 4 projects at once. I want to be the knitting and crocheting octopus who's just like working around with all my little arms on all my little projects, okay? I have so many designs in my head. I can't get them out of my head, and I can't crochet and knit. That's one thing I will say. I knit and crochet by feel. It's a little bit of a slow process because you feel it every stitch. I'm never going to be the fastest knitter or crocheter. Sorry, I'm not in a race with you. So, and the other thing is that I can't draw because of the nystagmus and strabismus and all the things with my eyes where I can't see straight and focus straight. I cannot draw. That is not my strength at all. I can't even draw a symmetrical heart, okay? I can't draw because I can't see straight. And so I don't have the ability to sketch out my designs. I know I hear knitwear designers all the time say, oh, well, we're sketching out first, and this is your collarbones, and this is where your shoulders and your angles, and that's nice, and I'm super happy for them. I think that's got to be super helpful. And maybe there's an app out there at some point that I'll be able to figure out that I can see and use. The AI is frighteningly amazing. So it's a tool. We can use it. So who knows? Maybe at some point they'll have an AI. Probably they will. Probably within the next couple of years there'll be an AI app out there where I can just speak into it and tell it what I'm picturing. And it will just make it on the screen for me. And then I can see it and convert it onto my needles or my hook, either one. So I definitely still hold that hope that the technology will be there, that there'll be an app that'll help me to draw and get my designs out of my head so that I can at least have them and then start working on them. But for now, they're kind of stuck in my head and they're spinning round and round, and I'm always working on them and forgetting them. I've got ideas and things that I've already forgotten. They've already like come and gone from my head, and then randomly I think of them again. I'm like, oh my gosh, what about that? You got to make that. What about that? So what was in the very moment a somewhat distressing moment of no matter how big I make the print today, I can't see it. No matter what tools and technology, and I do have tools and technology. I have devices in my house that I can use to enlarge the print on things. I've been using magnification pretty much my whole life. When I was like in, first grade, they were trying me out with magnifiers in school, and I always had little magnifiers, that like nerdy kid in school with the really thick glasses, all cross-eyed with my little magnifier and right on my paper. That was me. The kid you made fun of. That was me. So I've always been faced with having to use tools to access print material, but in the moment when I was really like having the moment of no matter what I do, my eyes can't do this today, I opened up like a whole new world for myself. That's amazing, that's fun, that's allowing me to create and design. And I never before really thought of myself as a designer. And I wouldn't say that I'm a knitwear designer now, not at all. I'm still, even though I've been knitting for 15 years, by no means do I consider myself some type of knitwear, crochet wear, fashion designer at all. I'm still very much sitting at home, doing my thing. I don't know if I'll ever sell patterns, probably not. Might do some. I'm going to try to do some tutorials on the internet. I have to figure out how I'm going to do that because I'm super new to making videos, and I can't see my screen unless it's right up next to my eye, and so I won't actually be able to tell if what I'm doing is on the screen. So there's a little ways for me to go to figure out how to be a visually impaired, legally blind YouTuber, video maker, knitter, crocheter. I want to do it, so we'll see what happens. I do want to make some fun tutorials and teach you all how to make things like this. This is a crochet crown. If you watch my first video, I did say it was knit. I misspoke. I apologize. If you took up knitting just to make this crown, I'm really sorry. This crown is crocheted because some days You need a crown, okay? You do. So hopefully I'll be able to figure out the whole video thing and make a little tutorial and teach you all how to make a crown so you can feel royal today, any day. And I want to do what I can to make this channel accessible for people who are blind or visually impaired, so describing things. So at the end of my video, there will also be a picture that says thank you for watching. And that too is spelled out in the red and blue yarn on a white sheet. There'll very likely be a picture of this gold. This crown is gold, by the way, like shiny, shiny gold. Trying to remember the brand of this yarn. I don't remember off the top of my head. Circulo. I think it's from Brazil, and you can buy it off the Amazon and get your Brazilian yarn shipped up to you via the Amazon to your front door. So I like to insert some pictures in the beginning of my video of some of the projects that I made, and I don't know enough yet how, if you can imagine, video editing is not my strength because I really can't see what's happening on the screen, and I have a really hard time identifying and locating and finding my own pictures. So I'm hoping I will at the beginning be able to include a picture of this gold crown and of this purple and black scarf. Hopefully I will be able to get a picture in of this black feather and fan dress, and I am also hoping I'll be able to get a picture in of this red, the color's called Hollyberry skirt. This is also by Knit Picks. I love Knit Picks. Knit Picks knows I love them because I give them the majority of my budget, my food, my money, my funds, and pretty much my food money goes to Knit Picks. So this is Knit Picks Comfy Worsted in Hollyberry, which is described to me as a burgundy. This is a skirt. It has a knit to purl to waistband, and then it's A-line. It flares out, and this at the bottom, it has white crochet for about maybe 5 inches or so, and it's got little peaks, little shells at the bottom. This is why I learned how to crochet. That's also a whole nother video, the how and why I learned how to crochet, because I've been crocheting for less than a year. I've been crocheting, and I have designed this skirt and this scarf. So guess what? You too can learn how to crochet on the YouTube and be designing your own patterns in less than a year. But this skirt right here is why I learned how to crochet, because as I was designing, I'm picturing all these designs and things in my head that I want to make. My mind is now bombarded with designs that I want to make. And I realized that's kind of hard to do with knitting. And I thought, but crochet. I know that you can do really cool lace stuff with crochet that you just can't quite do. I love knitting. Knitting's my first love. I can't lie. Knitting is my first love. I still love knitting more than crochet. But I knew that there were things that I could do with crochet that I just couldn't do with knitting. I knew that I could put hems on skirts, and I could put like this type of lace on the sleeves of my cardies and around your neckline. I just knew that if I could learn to crochet, the possibilities are endless. I can now knit and crochet and design for the rest of my life and probably never run out of ideas now. So this is the reason why I learned how to crochet, because I started picturing things in my head that just seemed too complicated to knit, no matter what I did with my knitting knowledge. And I still have a long ways to go in knitting and crochet. No matter what, I just thought that's going to be, I just can't make that work in my head. No matter what I knew about knitting, I couldn't make it work. I couldn't come up with a stitch pattern. I couldn't make it work. And that's why I was like, crochet. Crochet is the answer if you really want to make the designs and the pictures in your head come to life off your needles. Like, you know, like I have pictures and designs in my head, and if I really want to bring them to life and bring them into a real tangible item, then I knew I had to learn how to crochet. So that's been a fun challenge too. I love to learn. I always love to learn. I love a challenge, and that's what crochet and learning to design has been to me. When I started having more vision changes, even though it was distressing in the moment, it once again became a challenge. And I do love a challenge, and I do love to learn, and I do want to be a problem solver. And that is a topic for another video, because this is getting way longer than I intended. But I am a problem solver. That's what growing up and living with a disability and an ever fluctuating condition does. It makes you adaptable and it makes you flexible. So when I was faced with that I couldn't read, it was like, well, just design then. And then when I was faced with, now I've got pictures in my head of things I want to make and I can't figure out how to make them with knitting, then crochet became the answer. And it became one more challenge, one more thing for me to learn. I think it's really important for us to never stop learning in life. That is me. I am forever the student. No, I'm not going to college. I'm not saying go to college for 10 years, although I did go to college for 10 years. Got undergraduate and graduate degrees in psychology. Also, another topic for another video. But I think it's really a good thing for us to be learning, to be challenging ourselves mentally. And that's the beauty of knitting and crochet. I feel like there's always going to be something new for me to learn. I don't think I could ever learn everything that there is to knitting and crochet. So anyways, I think that I didn't even show you all everything that's in this little pile, all of my knits and creations that I've designed. This entire pile of luscious goodness, handmade and hand designed by me, yours truly. I don't even want to go on anymore, I don't think, in describing them all to you. I'm sure that these items will make appearances in other videos. They will, for sure. So I think I'm going to end it there. And I just mostly made this video today because I wanted to share that with people. I wanted to share that with anybody. If you're experiencing age-related visual changes and you knit or crochet, I want to say, do not give it up. Do not let for a moment the idea that you can't see your patterns or your stitches be like, well, that's gone. Don't have that anymore. Don't. Keep doing it and start designing. And even if you're not having visual changes, if you've been knitting and crocheting and you've never designed anything completely yourself, I say, why not? Why not? Why not just start picturing things in your head and then giving yourself a challenge of, how am I going to make that? And like I said earlier, there's also nothing wrong with spending your whole life working other people's patterns. There really isn't. Like no judgment there from me. If you just want to work other people's patterns, that's great. You're still creating. You're still crafting. You're still making, and that's what's really important to me. That is still really important. But don't let a change in your vision keep you from knitting and crocheting. And if you're blind or visually impaired and you're looking for a new hobby, pick up some needles and some yarn and some hooks, and why not? Why not today? Why not start? So I just want to say thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me today and watching this video. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want, you can subscribe to my channel and get more of me. Why not, right? If you want to leave me a comment in the comment section, please feel free to. Just say hi. Where are you watching from? Are you in the United States like me? Are you in Canada, Australia? Where are you? If you are visually impaired, please feel free to talk to me about that. Ask some questions. Maybe we can problem solve things together. If you want to have a topic about visual impairments, even if it doesn't have to do with knitting and crochet, I definitely want to make a video about how I learned how to knit, how I got into crochet, amigurumi, color, just some of the different things that I think people might find interesting about being a visually impaired knitter and crocheter. I think people might have questions about. So if you have a topic, and it doesn't have to be about, it can be about other things, you can ask your questions. I might answer. I might not. I might, that's none of your business. But I might tell you how I cook or how I do life. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, I might answer, I might not, but I'm pretty open, as you can tell. I'm pretty laid back. So if you have questions, if you have feedback for me, please feel free to leave it in the comment section, because this is only video number 2 from me. I'm still super new at that. So yes, I know it's dark in here, so you can see my eyes. And remember, if you're interacting with myself or somebody else in the comment section, please be respectful to everyone. Treat everybody with the same respect that you would want to be treated with, okay? So whether your craft is knitting, crocheting, sewing, quilting, beading, sculpting, singing, dancing, writing, whatever it is, whatever that brings you joy and peace and happiness, remember, today is a great day to craft and create. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this video. Come back again. Bye-bye.
Amy Deluge highlighted a post. Stop recording button. Double tap to activate.
Audio description for this video. I currently do not know how to edit my videos and add a voice-over track to the pictures. But I would like to include some descriptions for the pictures in the video. The video opens with the welcome to my channel screen that's described, spelled out in blue and red yarn. The second picture is a selfie of me wearing the fuzzy cardie that is knit in 2 different blue yarns. It's the fuzzy Buchael yarn with the ribbing at the waistline. The third picture is a picture of me. It's a selfie wearing the blue hoodie cardie. And the fourth picture is just a selfie of me wearing the black faux fur swing coat in front of my mirror. And I believe the fifth picture is of a black and purple crochet scarf that is referenced in the video. The next picture is a gold crown that's referenced in the video. That is followed by a picture of the skirt that's discussed in the video. That is red hollyberry. It's knit and then it has white crochet trim at the bottom. And the video is of myself sitting on a full-size bed on a white blanket with a wood headboard, and there's just a big pile of my knit and crochet projects that I've designed next to me and some yarn. And the room is fairly dark. I have just like one bedside lamp on. And then it ends with the picture that says thank you for watching, spelled out in blue and red yarn. And then as I'm describing this, because I don't know how to add in a voiceover track, I'm just making a separate video for the end that includes the audio description. And you're just looking at a circular crochet blanket that I've made. It is 6 colors. It's a warm sort of brown red and yellow popcorn stitches and red petals and 2 different shades of green and then a real dark brown. And I did not design this blanket, but I did crochet it. I am hoping that at some point I will figure out how to edit and add audio description so that it's included during the actual pictures that you're viewing. And of course, if anybody who is blind or visually impaired is listening to this and you know how to do that, please leave a comment below. I am trying to make this video as accessible and descriptive as possible. Thank you for listening.
Pause.